Being lost in your 20s is not your downfall, it is your beginning. And if you're lost, it's more powerful than you think because you start thinking for yourself. You start focusing on what really matters, right? But there is so much pressure in this generation. You need to get a good job, you need to have the perfect career, you need to get into law school, med school, get your master's degree by 27, 26, or have a perfect relationship because your best friends are already into a healthy relationship. You need to travel because some of your coworkers somehow they manage to travel while they are working. We treat being lost in our 20s like a curse. But what if that feeling of being lost is actually just a filter? Because we start to edit ourselves out, we start to eliminate fake friendships, we start to outgrow relationships that are messy, we are no longer settling for situationships. We start to realize that what we want is actually real and not superficial. Whether it be in friendship, in work, in career, or in our dreams, we don't want to impress people anymore. We want what's best for us and what we think is the reality in our case. What if this season of our lives is actually trying to unlearn everything? Trying to unlearn our behavior, trying to unlearn the responsibilities that other people thought we should carry. Try to unlearn such responsibilities we were never supposed to carry because being lost is actually means you're no longer pretending. You are no longer working for somebody else's approval and you start to break off from the expectations that you never once questioned. You start to surrender some path and dreams that looked on paper but in reality it just makes you depressed and was never good for your soul. There's so much confusion and distraction once we put ourselves into comparison. There is a version of you right now na natatakot in your 20s. You feel lost because you look at everybody and they all seem to figure it out, right? Nag-scroll ka sa social media, nakikita mo yung post ng friends mo. All of them seem to figure it out their lives. But here's the fact and the reality of it. That's social media. And it will distort the reality that a lot of people are actually struggling. No one posts about their mistakes, no one posts about their failure, the flaws in their relationship. Everyone looks perfect and okay on social media because that's how we raise as a generation who uses a lot of social media. And if we're going to base our reality on it, our philosophies on it, talagang malolost tayo and we feel like we're missing out so much in our 20s. But the reality is, being in your 20s means being lost. And if you're lost, it's probably you're doing it right because, for example, you were never given a total support of your parents. Some of us are supporting ourselves. Some of us are breadwinners. We have so much responsibilities at a very early age of our life. So it's very right that we feel lost because we put so much pressure in surviving and creating the life that we want. And if you're hearing this right now, being lost in your 20s means you are in the right place. You are in the right place. And don't force yourself to find clarity, to find the dreams that you have always wanted, because sometimes getting lost means you are in the right path. You just need to have a little faith and a little patience. Stop feeling bad every time that you scroll and you see someone doing good in their lives. Stop scrolling and feeling bad about yourself that you're not doing the things that other people just somehow freely do. Because not everything that you see on social media is actually what you think it is. So being lost in your 20s is really separating yourself from what you see on social media. At this age, I would say at some point everyone was just doing the same thing. They post the nicest things, their celebrations, their wins on social media because that's what matters to them. But please don't feel bad if you feel to yourself that you are not as complete as what you see from people on social media, because some of them also have problems. These are snippets of what their life feels like. They're also struggling, but they choose to post that because it's what makes them happy, what makes them feel valid, and they probably really worked hard to post those things. But here's the truth: you're not behind, you're just on a timeline that no one's ever seen before. You're building a life that's slower, yes, but more real. And the reason you feel confused is because you're finally asking the right questions. Not what will make you look successful, but what will make me feel alive. And that's not something you can Google. That's something you need to experience in real life. Yes, that's truth. Some of the answers, we cannot Google them, we cannot watch them on TikTok from somebody telling us what to do. Sometimes you really need to experience some things for you to get the validation that you need. And somehow it would make sense. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to have the answers right away, or think that you're running out of time, you're running out of opportunities. That's a sign that we have a scarcity mindset, right? A scarcity mindset is someone who thinks that we are running out of resources such as time, such as opportunities, because some of us were raised to be in competition with everybody. Some of us think that we are not enough, or that we should really, 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 really have it all figured it out by this certain age. But yeah, the best path to take is what you think it's best for you. And that is not from social media, not that is not from the people who raised you, but from the person who is you, who knows what you who knows what your life actually feels and what your struggles actually feels. And so in your 20s, you're not late. You start to become brave and start to realize that's not the dream that I want. That's not the kind of friendship that I want. That's not the kind of relationship that I want. You start to rebuild, to rewrite everything that you need to know in your 20s, and brave enough to say that that's not the kind of life that I thought I should have. And that courage is life changing, because you start to be happy in surrendering the things that you thought you should keep. So here are the five mindsets that I'm currently obsessed, which help me figure out the life in our 20s, one step at a time. Number one is clarity doesn't come from overthinking, it comes from movement. Keep moving. Keep moving. Even if you don't get your clarity from crying, from breaking down, from crashing out, you won't get clarity from experiencing those things. You might be heartbroken right now because you cried several times, and no one in your life will explain what is actually happening. No one will give you answers. Some may offer some advices, but it doesn't really help you a lot. Your parents will tell you everything will be okay, but here you are, so anxious about life, and you won't get clarity overnight. But if you keep moving, you keep facing the world, you're becoming a bigger person than your anxiety and your fears. So put yourself out there, put yourself in the face of your fears. That's how you build immunity in facing criticism, facing anxiety, because either way, it will never cease your mind. It will never go away from your mind, all those worries. But sometime in the near future, everything will make sense. Magme-make sense talaga lahat if you just keep moving. And you will look back and say, yes, I'm glad that I didn't stop. I'm glad that I keep moving. although I wasn't sure that I'll be here, but here I am. Number two, I always say this in my 20s, not knowing what you want is better than chasing what was never yours. Meaning to say, it's okay to feel lost as long as that you're not chasing the dream that wasn't even yours in the first place. The path that was even yours in the first place. And the plan that was even yours in the first place. Meaning to say, kapag pinaplano ng ibang tao yung buhay mo, hindi na yon yung plano mo. And you may feel accomplished at the end of the day once you've reached that goal, those dreams that they have for you, but you will still feel lost because there's a part of you that this is not mine to reach. This wasn't even mine to plan. Stop chasing the dream that other people think you should get and start asking, why am I even pursuing this? Is this me? Is this what I want? Am I chasing the right goals, or I'm just raised to receive validation from other people because they have expectations of me? Start refining the plans that you really want for your life. Even if there's not a lot of people will approve of you. Your job, your salary, the opportunities that you are getting doesn't really define your self-worth. No one talks about the hard work that you put out there and not be given enough credit for it. The reality is that once you start working for other people, you started working for a company, you get very little from working in that company. And the reality is, not all employees were respected. Not all employees were given the salary that they should be getting. And that's why they are feel so burnt out. They have worked so much. They have worked out overtime. They have sacrificed their weekends, and still they're not getting enough. They're not getting enough respect. They're not getting enough credit, recognition, which they really need to uplift their confidence in that workplace. And so it doesn't really define your self worth. It doesn't define your boundaries because some of us are willing to work hard at the expense of our boundaries and peace of mind. Kahit pa mataas yung sahod mo, kahit mataas pa yung position mo, it's very rare to see someone receive peace of mind because of that. And it's either that or actually a better mental health. And some people, they get very little salary, but they have such great mental health because they find a balance of both. And this is to say for everyone that yes, go after higher salary, go for higher position, but the reality of it is, to get there, you somehow need to sold or to sell your peace of mind and mental health. And that's not the reality that is most often talked about. Number four, success isn't about speed, it's about alignment. You don't owe the world the speed. You owe yourself the honesty. Tama ba yung daan na tinataha ko? Is this really what I want? Or I'm just getting this job because I am in survival mode? And there's certain reality on that. Na you have to tell yourself, okay, I'm need to be okay with this job, not because I really liked it, but because it provides the lifestyle that I want. It provides the money that I can get to sustain the lifestyle that I want, to fund my passion. It doesn't have to be that you have to like your job all the time. It only means that there's one good thing that comes out of it, and it could be your salary, it could be the networks that you're building. But give yourself some compassion if you are struggling with that job. And always practice detachment. Detach your energy from all of the things that weighs you down at work, because hindi naman sa lahat ng sitwasyon sa workplace actually deserves your attention. You just really need to focus on your work, your task, and if you're doing it right, you owe you don't owe anyone the attention. Kahit pa yung mga nanghihila sa'yo pababa. It's like the less drama that you acquire, the healthier your mental health is. Because truth of the matter is, all of you are already adults in the workplace, right? All of you are adults. Some of the people lack emotional intelligence, some lack maturity, and don't be around those people. Just be around with somebody who has matured enough to talk about real life situation. That is your dreams. That is what's best for your salary, what's best for your future in the company. The less you focus on the drama and other corporate gossips, the healthier you'll be. Again, you don't owe anyone the speed. You don't owe this world the speed. You owe yourself honesty. Is this really what you want? Because you can be late 5 years from your peers. Some of them would be getting the dreams that they have want, and here you are still figuring out. You can be late, but once you arrive at your destination, you feel whole. You feel actualized. And that because you paid attention to what you really want, and not because you just followed a path that was set for you. You actually created a path that was meant for you. And number five, being lost is painful, but performing is worse. What do I mean by that? Don't rush into a version of yourself just to impress other people, because majority of them don't actually care. If you're here existing and performing for other people's validation, then soon enough you will realize that once you get to your worst, once you crashed out, you break down, you're depressed, only few people actually really care. Few people will actually look into you as a person and not as a performer. So you have to give yourself permission to crash out, to take pause, to not please everybody, but to only please yourself. So if you're lost, but you're actually honest with your case, you're actually honest that you need to take a break, then that is when you gain your freedom. That's when you gain access, and that's when you gain access to your self respect. And once you reach that point, it will never be taken away from you. So if you're in your 20s and you feel like everyone's passing you by, take a breath. You're not broken, you're just building in silence. And in a world obsessed with fast success, there's something sacred about the slow, quiet kind. And you're not lost, you're becoming. And that's the power that no one can take away from you. And that is the power that is not fake, like what you see on social media. So send this episode to someone who is also experiencing the same case as you. Again, 20s is hard and rough, and let's make it normal to say, I'm still figuring it out. Let's stop pretending and start becoming.